Be Legendary presents A Nametag Is Necessary.
Hey, thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of A Name Tag Is Necessary. I'm Nametag Alexander. And for this episode, I believe this is episode number 54. We're going to jump right into it. For this episode, I have a jazz and soul musician, a composer, of course, and also, from what I know him as and how I met him, a sync licensing expert, Farnell Newton. What's going on, good sir?
What's up, fam?
Glad I could have you on. So it's interesting because we met. It was virtual, and it wasn't like visually either. I believe it was
oh yeah,
and Twitter Spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Twitter Spaces, man. Right before they turned it to X. Let me throw my glasses on to avoid that glare. But right before they turned it to X, and shout out to James Garden for conducting a Spaces on there in regards to that. We kicked it about sync licensing, and then me and you end up chopping it up afterward. And you gave me some sound advice, man, and I've still been using it to this day. And we'll get into that later in the episode. Man, you are from Portland, Oregon?
I'm originally from Miami, Florida.
Okay.
By way of like Philadelphia and Denver, but I've been in Portland, Oregon for 24 years.
Okay, dope. What I guess what inspired the move to go to Portland?
Well, my ex-wife was from Portland, Oregon. I didn't know anything about the West Coast as much besides Cali. So and I've been here ever since then. You know, I love the vibe. I love how nice the people were, and at the time when I moved here, the price of living was pretty low. So,
yeah, I'm pretty sure nowadays, especially 2024, is way different.
As far as the price everything is different.
Word, man, word for sure. Now I noticed too, by just kind of taking a look at your bio early on, you got an involvement with a lot of different companies, all on the music side of things, right? And I want to get into some of that as far as the first one here being that you're the senior catalog specialist and A&R of Marmoset Music. Explain to the folks listening, that's tuned in, what exactly Marmoset Music is and what led to you being a part of that.
Well, it first started that I was a professor at Portland State University, and one of my students in my jazz history course worked at Marmoset. So that's how I became an artist at Marmoset in 2011. But I was on tour from 2013 to 2016, touring with Jill Scott and Bootsy Collins and a bunch of soul artists and jazz artists. And then afterwards, I stopped touring and I was looking for something else to do. And that same person who got me in as an artist helped me get in as an employee. I was an intern, the 40-year-old intern at Marmoset, and I've been there for several years now. And just to let people know, Marmoset is a music licensing company, a tech company out of Portland, Oregon, that specializes in placing music in TV, commercial, advertisement, films, the whole nine.
Incredible. Yeah, y'all on fire too, because every time I log on to Instagram, I see a new placement. Shout out to James Garden too, because he's a part of like getting a lot of those placements as a recent, man, for sure.
Definitely.
So there's another one that you're the co-founder of, which is Formation Sound.
I wear a lot of hats. So I got a lo-fi hip hop label called Lo-Fi Jazz Soul. I also, with Hunter Love, a great singer and producer, we have a company called Formation Sound, where we make custom music for other music licensing companies and for brands like Red Bull, who are tied in with BMG Music Production, and as well as Dodge a Bullet, music from the UK, Cozy Music in California, Complete Tracks in Vancouver, Washington, and a couple other different music licensing companies. So we're just constantly cranking out music all the time for everybody.
Working always, man. That's super solid, because I had to look. I said, okay, I wanted to ask you all, like, okay, I see it's a lot of companies, but are they, sometimes we'll have different companies and brands we're associated with, and it may have just been for a one-off. One might not be active anymore, but then I started looking a little bit more, and I'm like, no, all of this is still active. Like this, you're a busy guy. You know what I mean?
Very active, because our catalog, we have 2 albums with Red Bull, Sound of Red Bulls, with a couple different rappers, Rashid Jamal, who else? Mike Bars, Matt Randall, and they're all from Portland. And those songs are actively in TV shows and sports music around the world and TV. So and then all of our stuff at Marmoset is active. Everything we do is kind of active and very
Yeah.
busy. So
Talk to me about the one that you're the label head of. You said the lo-fi jazz.
oh
Like
yeah,
what exactly?
yeah, that was just something, I mean, I've always been I'm a jazz musician, but also, I grew up listening to hip hop. I've been a fan of hip hop for as far as I can know. So just like that blend of jazz, hip hop, and soul music, I just wanted to make a label where I could just make music my way, and also support the homies. And then definitely during the pandemic, a lot of people really gravitated to music to help them
Yeah.
soothe their anxieties and depressions. We put it on in the household for the kids in the morning. At night, we put on some chill hop, we put on some other lo-fi girl. We also throw on lo-fi jazz soul. And I also support and work with a lot of local young musicians who are just trying to find their niche and their space in this market.
So with you being in Portland, like I said, I know you say you've been there over 24 years as of
Mhm.
now. Can you name some, I guess I would say prominent and maybe just more like local acts from Portland?
I mean, as far as soul music, you have a wonderful soul singer named Jared Lawson. We have Liv Warfield, who's known for doing, soul and funk. She was a part of Prince, New Power Generation. We also have saxophonist Mike Phillips here. Uh, we also have great groups like Pink Martini that travels the world, and just many other artists, great artists that we have here. I mean, Esperanza Spalding is here. She's like in the neighborhood.
Wow.
I just ran into her having food the other day, but I've been knowing her since she was very young. So, because I've been around for a while. So, but it's a lot of great musicians here, and also like the New Shoes from back in the '80s. They had a hit song called "I Can't Wait," and many other great artists here in Portland. Call this place their home.
Yeah. Before I came across you and we began having conversations, the only other producer I can think of from Portland at this time, I believe he's from Portland. I want to say he is. If he hears this, he can correct me if I'm wrong. But Trox was
Oh
another
yeah,
producer I'm familiar with.
yeah.
Yeah.
Trox is from here. We had Theory Has It. Um, who else is from here? We had the Lifesavers from here. This guy, Reverend Shines, who DJs for them. I mean, we got a lot of great folks here. Are they from here and they moved other places? But it's a lot of talent here in Portland.
Yeah, because also that's where Nike is.
Yeah,
Heck, well,
Nike,
okay, yeah.
Nike, Adidas is here. Adidas is not far up the street. Under Armour is here.
Oh wow.
Keen Footwear is here. There's a lot of apparel, shoe companies, and tech companies out here in Portland as well. It's just like in the Bay Area. They say like the Silicon Forest. Some people count it. Some people count it going from down there in Cali all the way up.
So I guess that will lead me to ask you now, with Nike as well as Adidas being there and Under Armour on the sync licensing side, have you landed any placements with any of those brands?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we work with a lot of those agencies. I was just saying today that Portland has a lot of agencies who deal with Adidas, Nike, and probably every footwear and athletic company around the world, from Brooks to Tom's to, I mean, we work with everyone and such. So, we just have our hands in the mix with a lot of different companies, and they all come to us because they know our music is one stop and it's easy to license, and they know it's good.
Yeah, I can agree with that, because I was wondering as you were saying, I'm like, I wonder what that's like what having them headquarter like right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know artists here that have landed placements now since the Pistons have moved to Little Caesars Arena. Well, since they built Little Caesars Arena and now the Pistons are playing there, I've seen artists that landed placements specifically with the Detroit Pistons. I'm like, that got to be great, like being from the city. So it just made me think of that when you said it, that they're headquartered there. Man, like being in this space with sync licensing, because it's not new for me, but it's so great like seeing more independent musicians get involved in it, especially since I literally watched it boom even more during 2020. You know what I mean? Up until now. And I guess that had a lot to do with more people being at home, a lot of more virtual, remote connections as opposed to having to meet in person. So I just thought that was amazing. I was like, finally, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
what advice would you give to songwriters and composers that are just, overall just looking to even get into sync licensing?
I mean, there's a lot of resources out here on the web. There's a lot of great information. There's also a lot of so bad information and such. And usually there's a couple people I always send people to. Usually for their beginning journey, I might send them over to my dude Clint Music on Instagram. He has a great program called Road to First 10 Placements, which is a great video series and breaks down how to get into music licensing, your music, emails, follow ups, and things. And then you got XJ Will, who's out of Kansas City. And then when you really get your fixing and your bearings, you got Sync Beast. Sync Beast is like
Graham.
Graham is like the top granular, like how to really perfect this music industry and really make amazing music for brands and such worldwide. I mean, but also just go out there and stay hungry and watch videos and read and find people that you can learn from. I used to go and knock on Graham's door at work and be like, hey, and when I had questions about certain things, and me and him collaborated and partnered up and made various different projects and such. I've collaborated with a lot of his songs and vice versa. So it's just like finding people that you can really lock in and learn from and see what they're doing. Because there's no one teaching this as far as in college or school, unless you go to somewhere like Berkeley or USC in California, or maybe Full Sail. But there's a lot of gatekeepers and a lot of information out there. But if you really want to find it, tap in with people, present and that teach you how to deliver your emails to sync licensing people or supervisors, how to collaborate, how to package your music so it's ready to be delivered to sync licensing companies. There's so much information, but it's all on the internet. There's a lot of stuff there.
One thing I could say that I learned was when I first got into it, my first placement was back originally in 2015. But the one thing, shout out to Black Beethoven, he's a composer. He's also my brother. One of the things he told me about it, man, I want to say 2009 maybe, and was like, he just pulled me aside like, hey, all the boom bap you're doing and the sampling of music and everything, that's great. You really need to get it. He wasn't calling it sync licensing then. He just kept specifically saying you need to get your music licensed to TV and film. I'm like, well, how do I do that? He was just saying like, man, one day I'm gonna show you. And from there, that was a step. And to my understanding, I thought it was just, oh, okay, just pitch music that don't have sampling, right? Until I realized like, oh no, this is about great songwriting. This is about song structure. This is about music that's actually serving the brand that you pitching this music to, or the TV or the movie, you know what I'm saying? Because I literally was like, oh, I could be Lyrical Miracle over a beat that's not sampled, you know what I mean? And it was way more than that. We talked about Graham. I just listened to an episode that Graham had yesterday, and he was just he broke it down of just explaining the importance of the buildup of a song. And the way he explained it was like a plane going down a runway and preparing for takeoff. And the way he explained, I understood it. It had me going back to my catalog, that's probably why that song didn't place. Or this is why this song plays. So it helped me, just like you said, just listening and just learning more so.
Yeah, there's different ways, and the thing about it is that we're thinking in mind of you're telling a story, but you also have different points to the song that builds up, and we're also thinking about edits in the song. Like, how can we give this song to a editor, and are there moments in this song that they could chop up and move things around and that could build excitement for the song? Are there any drops in there? Are there any is the song actually going somewhere? It just can't be a 4-bar loop over and over and over. You know, it needs various different things. And that's how you win, especially when you're dealing with sports licensing. They always want a big build up. They want some drops. They want some explosiveness. They want some grit. They want some stories and blood, sweat, and tears and such. And when you put all of those things together, depending on the branch you're pitching the stuff to, or getting the stuff synced to, you know, that can make the difference from your songs just sitting there or really going out the door more frequently and often. And that's one thing we do. We've studied this stuff, and songs form as far as like foundation and forms, and how long is it too long for an intro or for a bridge, or is the pre-chorus too long? We're thinking about all of these things so that we can put this music in the system and get syncs back faster than sitting around waiting. That's why we do, like you say, every time you log in, there's always something else, because we're constantly just grinding, working, collaborating, and making great music.
Now, because for people listening, because I get asked this a lot, and it's usually from folks that aren't even involved in music whatsoever, but they see that I'm speaking on is sync licensing. They see that I network with people in the sync licensing space. How would you define sync licensing to someone, if just in the most layman's terms possible? What would you say this is to someone that's trying to learn about it for the first time?
I mean, it's just basically, for me, I mean, for like music license, sync license, is you're synchronizing the music to video content, or to a film or TV. You're putting music in those places, because the thing about it is, a business can't use any song. You cannot use a Beyonce song if you don't have the permission. And in order to get a Beyonce song for a commercial, it might cost, you know, $50,000 to $100,000 and more. So, but actually, if you could get something that sounds alike, that sounds as good, that sounds that might not be as expensive, but basically putting music to film to help tell a story. You know, it's just not just putting dope music to a video content. Like I'm helping tell that brand story. What am I helping, making people excited for? That product, that shoe, that the new film. Am I giving them the emotions in a sad part? Am I making them happy in a happy part, in the party part? So, you know, I feel like it's just pairing music and to match and help tell a story. I mean, there's other terms and things like that, you know, but you know, but that's just what I think of sync licensing is, you know.
In your experience in this field, between, because you know we got television, we have movies, and we have video games. Then there's also ad placements. Because we know sync licensing, it pays. What pays, in your experience, what pays the most out of those ones that I named?
I mean, you know, for the folks that, you know, I'm all about the advertisement world. I'm all about the placements for the brands, and Nike, Adidas, Red Bull, and things like that. I feel like, you know, with putting your music to TV shows and film, there might be some upfront money, and then you got to wait for the PRO. You got to wait for the money to come in, the broadcast royalty through ASCAP, CSAC, BMI, and that could take a long time. And also, you don't know how much it's going to be. Just because your music was on Love and Hip Hop, or Hollywood, or on Love Is Blind, you know, that's great, and you might have got some money up front. But at the same time, we don't know what the PRO is going to pay out. So when advertisement, though, I know what's going to get paid out because of the terms and everything. And I know I could get that money back faster. I could get that payout faster instead of waiting for my PRO to process it and such. So I could, every quarter, I look forward to the beginning of every quarter because I'm getting paid every quarter.
You know,
because my music has been used in everything from, you know, WhatsApp to Meta to Gatorade to Fast Twitch to whatever it is, you know.
So, and another thing, I know we talked about this before when we were in the spaces, and it came down to just like a niche sound or whatever, right? And I remember saying like, well, most of my catalog when it came down to sync was, and I hadn't even really defined it until I started listening more to the songs that were placed. And then I guess you would place it more so in that sports area, you know what I mean? And I remember thinking like, well, it doesn't seem as diverse. And I remember you saying like, well, no, that's actually a good thing. Like once you find like that space, like nail it, you know what I mean? And like drive that home and build that catalog up.
Yeah.
And that brings me to my question with you about how did the trap gods come about?
Well, well, first of all, I love creating new projects and monikers. I'm the ideals guy. I'm like, I could think of any type of project, no matter what type of genre or style. And
Yeah.
I was just, I've been making trap music for a very long time, like back in the day, and like the early, like, Shorty Low,
Ooh,
Ti,
yeah.
and all of that stuff. Like I used to send my music, and I used to send CD tapes down to Slip and Slide records and things like that, because I'm from Miami. So I grew up in that like culture of trap music and early trap music. So and I was looking around, and I did the research, and I was like, man, no one's going by trap gods. And I was like, dang, that's kind of, I looked on Spotify, looked everywhere, and I say, yo, let's do trap gods. Let's, instead of a A, let's do the V,
The
and,
V.
and let's do the Z instead of the S. And that started, we just was doing some tracks. We was just making some tracks that we thought would be good for sports. And then I heard someone at work saying like, yo, they're looking for more trap songs, but they need strings and they need brass and they need horns, because the strings provide the drama. When you got
Yeah.
ching, ticka, ching, ticka, ching, ticka, 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 ting, ticka, 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 and the horns are like, so
Yeah.
and so then we started to make more songs with the strings and the horns and more excitement, marching, drums, stadium cheers and such. And what happened was our songs was really getting used a ton for EA Sports. And in a short amount of time, we were like, wait, this is the thing. This is like where we could get
Yeah.
some real, this is what the traction was happening so fast. Every time I was making songs and putting it in a catalog, they were getting licensed. And I was like, okay, this is it. Let's double down. And I just, and then I'll play horns on the song. And then, and then we start collaborating with Matt Randall in Portland, Mighty in Portland, Easy McCoy, James Garden. We got a bunch of songs with James, Jay Josephine, who's from Detroit.
Yeah. Shout out
And
to her.
oh yeah, she's crushing it. And we just start doubling down in it. And we like, you find that niche, and it's like, well, if we see that this thing is being successful, let's make 5 more of these songs. Let's not make one song. One song is not gonna, can bring in tons of money and such. It just depends. But at the same time, do we have more odds and better success at having more or type of these songs? So we just start getting collaborators and such. And Trap Gods is kind of like taking its own, has its own thing happening. And we're doing songs. We have songs, Dodge a Bullet in the UK, that's being used a ton for TNT Sports, from boxing to soccer, football, and so it's just going, and we're just excited. We got a new chapter of things coming this summer. We're doing like a sports camp of songs with a couple collaborators just to start, and then we're just going to keep building it over time.
Yeah. And it's just, and I learned something even from you with the song that we did, which was a Trap Guys production. I just learned about the whole thing where you was like, hey, when you do your ad libs, like record multiple like ad libs. I think it was like ins and outs is what you called them. You said that helps as far as like on the mixing. You could drop one out and just pan it out over here. I said, oh, okay. So I had that in mind.
Yeah, and just different ways of like, hey, just different. You give someone a little bit of everything. You know, like you get some ad libs with some longs, some shorts, some different dynamics and such that we have things to play with. You know, and for us, it's always with sports and things. We're like, okay, we can't make it too sexy. You can't make it too dark.
Yeah.
We're not mentioning brands. We're not mentioning celebrities, because if you're talking about celebrities and brands, you're dating your product, you
Hmm.
know. So like that same song 10 years from now can still land on projects and such because it doesn't date itself. Now it's different if it was boom bap, because boom bap is, you know, is known like late 80s or 90s and such. We know that era and time, and when we think of boom bap, we think of New York. But as far as other songs, we try not to like box them up where they only could license for a certain thing. So, and the thing about it is, it could be used for sports, it could be used for products, it could be used for almost anything. Sports is humongous right now, and now with the
Yeah.
WNBA blowing
Yep.
up even more again, and then you got basketball, you got soccer, you got, you know, so it's just like we're just,
All season. That's the
yeah,
thing
yeah.
about sports. And that's what I
It's
took from that. When you said it, I was like, hey, sports is all season. There's never a season without sports. You know what I
Yeah, because
mean?
by the time, you know, we just finished the playoff. Oh, excuse me. When does basketball season start again? Which is like soon. Basketball season starts.
For the
Uh,
NBA, I believe October, as far as like the
uh,
preseason, I think.
yeah, October 24th. So we got
Yeah.
June, July, August, September. Then football starts. You know,
Yeah.
NFL starts. Man, I got the hiccups.
That
NFL starts September. So now we got September, October, you know,
gonna run right
baseball.
into it.
Yeah, baseball is cranking. Like, you know, soccer is cranking. And so it's just like, guess what? If you really play your cards right, you can be eating all year. But we definitely get hyped up around football season because a lot of these songs are just popping off on broadcasts, placements, video games, the whole nine.
And I got a couple more questions before I let you go.
Mhm,
One is when it comes to like projects,
mhm.
when there are projects that you have that are full of tracks that could potentially work for sync licensing, do you recommend releasing a project with these particular songs, or just releasing them as singles, like one by one, in the midst of pitching as well?
I mean, it just all depends. I mean, sometimes I don't, I'm the type of person, I don't care about sometimes releasing songs. Like a song being released doesn't mean that it's going to get synced. You know, it's
Mhm.
just, it just looks good for the artist, and they could use that as, you know, marketing and such. Like, yo, my new song is out. I also have it available for sync licensing for whatever. And it's great, you know, but I also tell people like watch where you sync your songs with, because a lot of times if a music licensing company use that same song and it's on Nike but on YouTube, and then Nike is getting a
Yeah.
copyright
Strike.
claim, yeah,
Yeah.
and you have to whitelist the song, but some
Yeah.
places don't let you whitelist songs as easy as some distributors. So it's just, so a lot of times I'm like, guess what? The song is doing what it's supposed to do. It's living on the website. It's living with the sync licensing company. And long as it's there, we're good. Like if I want to make other songs or release songs as an artist and promote them, I could do that as well. But I'm not in artist mode. I've done that.
Yeah.
I've toured around the world. I've released music and such. Like my focus is like, you know, building Farnell as a sync, like, you know, A&R, and also kind of like a sync agent, and just keep grinding, you know.
It allows you, for me, I think sync licensing, now for me, what I'm noticing, it allows me to remove ego.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you have to remove ego, because when you're dealing with custom projects too, and
Hmm.
a licensing company is asking you to make edits or changes, you can't
Yeah.
be about like, what do you mean I got to change this? What do you mean?
That bar
You
was
know,
dope.
yeah, no,
You know
no,
what I'm saying?
it's not about your ego. It's about, dude, at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it's about providing amazing music for clients. And if the
Hmm.
clients feel like this music is sonically or is a little too harsh or a little too rough or whatever, they're not going to license. And then you got a song sitting there and you're like, man, that song could have been dope. Yeah, it could have been dope if you
Yeah.
would have got out of your ego.
Yeah, man. I had to learn. I was like, yeah, it ain't this not about like what's the flyest punchline and none of that. This is about what worked for this project.
Exactly.
And my last question for you, and then we'll wrap it up from here. What's the value for you with being a forever learner?
I mean,
and I credit that to James Garden. That was a last minute question he slid in there. I want to steal the credit for it, but what's the value for you in being a forever learner?
I mean, if you think you know everything, you're not going to grow.
Oh,
if you think like, how do you expect, dude? I've been into licensing 7 years now, and there's always new things. There's always new collaborations, new partnerships, new sharing of this music and networking and contributing to other partnerships and things. But if you're thinking that you know everything, like, who wants to work with you? You know, I don't know everything, and even if I did, that's not the joy of it. The joy is creating music and having a good time. And I feel like when you're a forever learner, you're gonna always grow, no matter what. You know,
absolutely. That's 100%.
I mean, because tell you the truth, when I first got into sync, there's some opportunities I think about that I had. I wasn't ready for. I wasn't prepared for. And like literally, I had Easy McCoy hook me up with some places, and I sent them my music, and they weren't even focused on that type of music.
Man.
And so, but now I'm like, yo, it's several years in deep. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I'm like, man, I need to tap back in with them because I know what my value is, and I know what value I could bring to them. But at the time, I wasn't there yet. So, because I've been learning and growing and studying,
man,
and trusting the process.
Absolutely. I was about to say, like, gotta trust in that process. Can't just give up. Like, I ain't get no placement. I've been doing this for 2 years. Nah, you can't give up. It took me a minute, man. It really did. So
it takes time.
Yeah, man. So in the meantime, please let the people know where they can find you at. If they got questions, how can they link up with Marmoset? How can they pitch me? Just everything. So from, I guess, basically just where's the social media handles and the website for sure. Because you got a lot of companies, man. So
yeah,
what does it boil down to?
Definitely. Well, I'm on all social medias. I'm on there as Farnell Newton, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, on my own website. But you could always tap in on those. You know, I work for Marmoset Music, marmosetmusic.com. But like I said, you could tap in with me and I could point you the right direction. And, you know, like I said, I got plenty of things and hats I wear, from lo-fi, hip hop to Formation Sound, to a new thing I'm starting with my drummer, Tyrone Hendricks. We're starting a custom music shop called Backbeat Sounds.
I saw that.
So which is a Black-owned company, you know. So it's just like we're trying some different things out and figuring out some things and working and partnering up with some great people. So, you know, we got a lot of things happening. But you can always find me on social media, Farnell Newton.
100%, man. And I'll also include every single company that I saw on this list. I'm putting it in the description of the show as well.
It's on the Instagram.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be in the description of the show as well. Hey, man, thank you for joining in. I appreciate the conversation. I even learned a little bit extra, like just sitting here, just absorbing the energy and listening to the, you know what I mean? I appreciate that. So I definitely look forward to networking with you in the near future, and also just creating more music, man. Because like I say, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, hey, y'all know where y'all can find me at as well. And thank you again. A Nametagisnecessary.com is the website. I'm on social media as well, Nametag Alexander, across all platforms. And in the meantime, it's been another episode of A Name Tag Is Necessary. Peace. That was incredible.